to finding calm in the chaos. I am Denise Sith, and this is my podcast. Hello, everyone. We're back to business here. It is the first podcast in July, and happy Wednesday, peeps. Oh my gosh, we're going to actually have some changes coming up. I'm doing some tweaking and fixing and readjusting and all good things. But today we're going to talk a little about feeling good enough. And actually kind of got brought on by the total BH session that I was doing in last week's podcast about all the stuff that went down with the house sitting situation. And it made me realize that there was a reason I was able to handle that differently than I normally would, right? What would have been my go-to response isn't what actually happened. I actually looked at it a lot differently and then used the podcasting platform as a way to talk about it in addition to my therapist. Guys know I love my therapist. But, you know, there's a reason that we never really feel good enough. And when we don't feel good enough, it's because we are looking for external validation, right? And there are some pros and cons to seeking external, just, sources to validate what we're doing in our lives, whether it be regular things or ordinary things or the extraordinary things. But why do we look at people who don't even know us? Like, just think, the only person who really, really knows who you are is you. I sat there thinking one day, Denise, like, nobody knows you better than you. And we tend to get more sensitive when we're seeking. I feel like I am more sensitive when I am seeking outwardly validation about things that I already know, but I'm not accepting of myself. Think about that, right? But yet somehow I'm seeking validation, and sometimes like literally pushing for it, from people who just don't understand me or what I want. I mean, and most of the times we're seeking validation from people who might not even understand themselves. Think about that. Like, that's scary, that whole, right? But we're going to talk about throughout this podcast, we're going to talk about how the only place we really should be seeking validation is from us. We just cannot seek validation from people who don't understand themselves. And a lot of time when the conflict happens, you're overly seeking, you're becoming almost dependent on seeking validation from outwardly sources, whether it be parents or spouses or friends or coworkers or bosses. I don't know, right? But in reality, there are pros and cons to seeking validation. Now, I will tell you, there's not a whole lot of pros. I'm sorry, I have to have a drink. So we're going to discuss those first. But I will tell you that there are some pros to seeking external validation. First off, it boosts our confidence. I mean, it could be easy to like doubt yourself and especially our abilities. But if someone else affirms that we're like doing a great job, it helps. And it helps us feel super confident, right? External validations also help us kind of see ourselves in a more positive light and remind us that we can achieve great things, especially when we're struggling with self-doubt or low self-esteem. Okay. So it feels good to have somebody else kind of give you that clap on the back and that little shout out, you go girl, they are they're letting you know that they're aware that you're doing things, and that feels good. So it boosts your confidence, right? That's a good thing. Okay. It makes us feel good when that happens. right? So you boost your confidence. The external validation also makes us feel good about ourselves in return. And it reassures us that we're doing something correctly, right? Or that we're loved and we're appreciated by others, right? And that leads to an increase in our overall happiness and sense of well being, which is a bonus, right? Those are good things. But lastly, it helps us feel connected. And this is the important part of the positive parts of external validation. Because when we receive validation from others, it helps us feel more connected to them, right? This can deepen relationships and make us feel more supported, especially in situations where you're feeling isolated or lonely. That's a big deal. And I mean, imagine it's coming from your spouse. You're working really hard. They're doing their own thing. You get to a point in your project or your goal or whatever you're doing, and they tell you, like, I see you. That is like, this is amazing. You're doing a great job. It really will help strengthen that relationship. And that's a positive. And it's also a morale booster, and it also can help you move forward. But I have seen this great trend of people leaning into too much outwardly validation. And that's where these feelings of I'm not good enough or am I good enough starts clicking in. And we've all been there. I still go through this. And it's because of childhood traumas where I was always trying to get attention, like, look at me here, even to the point where bad attention was some attention. You know how they say that, people somehow want attention, and good attention is just as good as bad attention, right? I didn't care. I just wanted things to be normal. Did it work out that way? Absolutely not. But you know what I'm saying? There comes a point where you just need to understand that your biggest supporter and the only validation that you need to truly I shouldn't say the only, because obviously there are some pros to being, positives to being externally validated, but they are greatly outweighed external validation by the cons. Okay. So what we're talking about today is I'm having a hard time like effectively communicating this. Cut me some slack, guys. I gotta like ease my way into this, back into the normal format. But just know that the good enough feeling has to come from within. It can't come from the outwardly sources. So let's talk about why that is super important. Because there are some negative aspects to just being reliant on external validation. And these are ones that really hit home with me. But it can take a toll on our self-esteem. Because if we're constantly seeking validation from others, we start to believe that our worthiness is contingent on what others think of us. And low self-esteem can lead to unhealthy levels of self-consciousness, self-doubt, depression, and it just snowballs from there. It can also lead to people pleasing. And when we place too much importance on what others think, we start to sacrifice our wants and needs to please them. And I am all too familiar with people pleasing. Okay. And this can be damaging to relationships and our mental health. And I was a huge people pleaser because I wanted to, have a dad who like paid attention to me and was happy with me and wasn't constantly just completely off the wall over little things. And so that moved into up to about literally 4 years ago, I would go out of my way to please people. Like I always would buy dinner, or I would always pick up coffee, or I would go excessive on birthday presents, or perfect example, because we just came back from a big vacation, is I would come home with excessive amounts of things as gifts for people. And it's not necessary. I know that now, but I just wanted everybody to like me. I didn't want to rock the boat. And if that meant buying them, at that time, I was okay with that. But I'm not okay with that now. My thought is if I go on vacation with my family, I'm not expected to bring anything back for anybody unless I choose to. You know what I'm saying? You might and you might not, depending on where you're at in your validation journey. There's that. So people pleasing can be a huge issue. And there are a lot of people who don't realize that there are many facets of people pleasing and that they all are subjected to your inability to self-validate yourself, right? You need to look, you are good enough. But if you're finding that you like ignore the parties or stuff is going on and people are saying stuff and you just don't say anything because you don't want to rock the boat, that's people pleasing. You're staying neutral so that people like you. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to upset anybody. You don't want to make waves. That's people pleasing. And it's disguised in so many more ways. I could probably do a whole podcast on people pleasing. I may have already. I don't even know. There's that. Maybe we need to reintroduce that. But people pleasing is a really bad one. And like I said, it disguises itself in so many different ways that you have to understand that if you're constantly in people pleasing mode, you already are not in good enough mode. And always know you are good enough. You are good enough and you are worthy. And you don't need anybody else's validation but yourself. And once you empower yourself with your personal validation, you're going to see things change substantially. I'm going to just take a little break here and for our sponsor, and then we'll be right back. Hello, friends. Today's episode of Finding Calm in the Chaos is sponsored by another family-owned small business. Dare Universe was founded by Rick and Janine Mason in 2022 after years of hashing around the idea of opening up their very own store that facilitates and helping you connect with your mind, body, and soul. Based out of Sanford, Florida, right here in the USA. They take great pride in being able to provide a great selection of merchandise for every budget. Dare Universe is a high-quality, personalized experience, not like those cheap big box or mass world delivery sites. Their mission is connecting you to your higher self. They carry a large selection of high-quality and authentic items and services like sage sticks, chakra balancing, intention candles, essential and chakra oils, over 90-plus incense scents to choose from, crystals, bracelets, manifestation kits, and teas. You all know that I'm all about finding calm in the daily chaos of life. I use Dare Universe for that little extra something that helps bring me to a calmer self. Check out Dare Universe at www.dareuniversellc.com and you can get $5 off your order using the promo code Finding Calm in the Chaos. Again, take a look at Dare Universe at www.dareuniversellc.com and find the calm in your chaos.
One, two, three, four.
Hey everyone, I am back and today we were talking about feeling good enough. Looking for validation from within versus from external sources. And we touched on how there are some reasons, there are three, okay, that are positive reasons to seek external validation. However, there are more reasons why it is a negative thing. And so we talked about, number one, that it could take a toll on our self-esteem personally, and then mentioned that it could lead to people-pleasing issues, and It's 100%. Like that is the big one for me. We're going to talk about how it's not always accurate. Because here's the thing, guys. External validation isn't always accurate because it's just someone says we're good at something doesn't mean that we are. And just because someone says we're not good at something doesn't mean we actually aren't. Think about that. How good example of this are those talent shows. So I don't know, pick one. I don't watch them, so I don't know. So like, oh my God, I can't even think of one. America's Got Talent. So let's just say you get these people on there and they come in and they are carrying themselves like $1 million, right? These people are floating in on the stage. And then suddenly they're just like, what are you here to do? And they're like, I'm here to sing. All my friends and family say I sing like a songbird. My voice is golden. Like I literally bring people to tears. My voice is so beautiful. And I'm here to share it with you and the whole world. And then they go, okay, great, good luck. And then they start the song and then they open their mouth and everyone is just like, what the heck is going on right now? Is this a joke? Like, are we being punked right now? And then this person sounds like Yoko Ono. If you don't know, you need to Google. Just Yoko Ono sings. Google it. Come on back. Anyway. And then everyone's just like, who? Let me explain to you. Because they surrounded themselves with outward validation from people who did not feel comfortable telling somebody that they could not sing. Okay? And I see this a lot in parents as well. Like, oh, my son is like such a songbird. And it's like, I love that the kid's up there singing. I love that, they're all like into it. But they're really off key and I'm not really like seeing like a huge singing future for them. But mom insists they're amazing songbirds. It sort of adds up to this, okay? It's kind of like leading into this. It's not always accurate. I mean, the mom thinks they sing great. And apparently all of their friends are telling them they sing great. But in reality, they don't sing great. But then you have something on the other thing. Let's just say you're really good at starting businesses. But you've just, it's like you're a consultant or whatnot. And you just haven't been like leading into the right people or the right situations. And, your friends are just like, that's a dumb idea. Like, why would you do that? Doesn't seem like there's any business in that because they don't understand consulting. They don't understand business building. In fact, they don't even understand business because one of them works at, Starbucks. So as a barista, so you're seeking validation from someone who, and I'm not saying anything about Starbucks baristas, the thing, don't send me anything, but it's a different situation. Your job is to serve coffee and make coffee and customer service. This person wants to start a consulting business and help people direct and build personal businesses. If that person tells you it's a horrible idea because they don't understand the idea, that doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It means they didn't get it. And if you don't have the self-esteem and the self-worth personally to understand that and to be in the right place mentally, you could skip out on a really big opportunity for yourself. You were good enough to start that consulting business. You are good enough to start your own business. You're good enough to start your home bake business. You're good enough to start your own podcast. You're good enough to do public speaking. If it's something that's truly burning in you and you want to do it, then you go ahead and try it. Just because somebody says it's not a good idea doesn't mean that it's not, especially if you fully believe in yourself. Validate yourself. Don't worry about other people validating you if it falls outward of those three things that they should be validating for. It's okay to receive outwardly validation, but you need to understand that if it's not coming from within 100%, you're skewing all of the external stuff coming in. So another thing is that, and this is the part where I kind of feel I fell into this category, and it's kind of scary looking back at it because I have such a history with addiction, is it can be addicting. I mean, literally, just like anything else, external validation can be addicting, like just like alcohol, okay? And gambling. We can become addicted to the positive feelings that it gives us, and we start to seek it out constantly, which basically just makes me feel disappointed and anxious when I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And you'll probably feel the same way. It's like a horrible thing. I don't understand like why I spent so many years trying to, and plus two, you could be marrying two different energy levels, two different universes that you're currently in. Okay. I'll use my family as an example again, because it's my life, right? And if you can relate to this, I'm sorry. But if you can't, then find the relation point for you so that you can understand. But when you are seeking validation from people, I'm seeing a therapist to work out childhood trauma. I'm, growing in my marriage. I'm growing in my business. I'm growing in my finances. I'm growing in my relationship with my family, my immediate family. But my family, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brothers, they are living in a different place. And so if I'm seeking validation for my growth and for new ideas and for adventures that we want to go on in my current place, I can't expect people who are not there to validate it in a healthy way. They're going to be, I'm sure, well, I've heard it off cuff about, it must be nice to go to Europe. It absolutely is when you're working your ass off and your husband is working hard and you're saving and, we're working all our finances to make it happen. We planned this trip for a very long time. We put things apart. We saved for it. We booked everything when, it was financially a right time in the market between the euro and the US dollar. And so, no, I don't have to justify. It's where my family was and we worked hard to get it. I understand now that some people aren't going to understand that, because when I was there and people were like, yeah, I'm going to Paris for the third time this year, I'd be like, okay, whatever. I'm wondering how I'm getting to work because I can't afford gas money, But that is like a poor energy level. So now I realize that, when the friend was like, hey, I'm going to Paris. And I'm like, oh my gosh, for the third time? Good for you. I can't afford gas right now, but man, one day I'm going to be you. I feel it. I'm going to work towards it. That is the proper attitude to have. And I see that now, hindsight's always 20/20, but that's it, What you want to do instead is to find the validation from within. Because when you're looking within, it means you're looking to yourself for approval and acceptance. It means recognizing accomplishments and giving ourselves credit when we do something well. And even though this can be a challenge, guys, it's worth it. When we learn to validate ourselves, we become our own biggest fans and we no longer seek approval from all these others, right? Because we know that we're good enough, just as we are. And we are. Each and one of us are. It's the way God made us, just the way we are. And anything that's going wrong, right, is just poor decisions. Or for me, usually it was poor decision making and constantly fighting the path that was set for me. Because I was literally intent on digging through the mountain rather just following the clear, sunshiny yellow brick road that God had set for me. Seriously. If you're struggling to find validation from yourself, acknowledge your accomplishments, no matter how small. Give yourself credit when you do something good. Be gentle with yourself when you make a mistake. Oh my God, I eat those words. I literally need that tattooed on my forehead. Be gentle with yourself when you make a mistake. It's okay. Mistakes, literally, if you handle a mistake right, it's literally another step up and towards your goals. Seek out people who support you, lift you, not tear you down. If you have a friend who just can't get behind you, it's okay to probably maybe have that friend in a different capacity. But when it comes to building your dreams and doing all that, I would gear towards talking with other people who are more aligned with growth. If you have all the people around you are kind of butting heads with you and shooting down your dreams and your goals, I would probably consider finding a new inner circle, because you need to be surrounded. It is true. There is no falsehood whatsoever in the saying that you are the equivalent of the 5 people you hang the most with. Period. It's so true. Sometimes it's not that if there's something wrong with them, it's just a growth thing, okay? You're just in a different energy level. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? And practice self-compassion. Learn to treat yourself with kindness and understanding. That's very difficult for me as well, because we are our own worst enemies. And I will tell you, we've talked about this in the past on the podcast, but it warrants bringing up again right now. Be careful how you talk to yourself. And it doesn't even have to be out loud. Our internal chatter is 90% negative. And we need to stop it. Stop cutting yourself down in your own head, because that's where it starts. And that also almost opens a pathway to allow others to talk down to you and shoot down your dreams. If you're shooting down your dreams, you ain't going to have a problem with your neighbor doing it, or your sister, or your spouse. You know what I'm saying? You have to be you have to talk good to yourself. You need to make sure that you are not talking negative to yourself. And I do this all the time. I'll even joke around sometimes and be like, oh my God, of course, everything I bought for my vacation doesn't fit my fat ass. Stop it. Stop it, Denise. Okay. Yes, nothing that I bought for my vacation fit me. But you know what I did? I put them all to the side, and I'm using that now that I've realigned my thoughts and gathered myself and gave myself a quick kick in the ass so I'd stop talking to myself that way. And now I'm on a mission to be healthy. I'm going to get into those clothes. Do I normally do that? No, but I can't return them now because it's been too late. But my whole closet needs a cleaning out too. Sometimes that helps. Just cleaning, being in a good environment. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to sound harsh, but it's true, okay? If you wouldn't trade your life with someone, why on earth do you care what they think? Think about that. I know a lot of people think about the people who have been your harshest critics. Would you walk their shoes and trade your life with them? I can tell you wholeheartedly with 1000% uncertainty, mine is a heck no. I'm not trading. Nope. That is messed up. Not doing it. Okay? It's because you're looking for validation from people who don't even understand themselves. You will never be criticized by people doing more than you. This is something that I really didn't understand. And I used to read it over and over and hear it over and over. And I'm like, gosh, stop taking advice from people who don't work for the same life that you want or haven't achieved what you're going after. Like, what is wrong with you, Denise? Snap out of it. You deserve it. You're good enough. Okay? I am good enough. Stop asking people who are miserable and unqualified to validate your happiness. There's only one person who could validate you, and that's you. You are good enough. You can make it happen, and you deserve your dreams. Period. And that's all we got for today. Happy Wednesday, folks. And as always, lead with kindness. Thank you, friends, for spending this time with me today. If you found some calm listening in, please take a moment to subscribe to Finding Calm in the Chaos. And just so you don't miss out on future episodes, make sure you're receiving notifications. Thanks again. Until next time, lead with kindness.